Okay, so starting, I would like to introduce our speaker, Mr. Sanil Bhinde, who is currently working at Taj Mahal Palace, Mumbai, and his experience includes working as a team member in the World Skills 2017 at Abu Dhabi. He's also cooked rice for our Honorable Prime Minister of India and once for the President and the leaders of over 27 different countries. I would like to give it to Mr. Sanil Bhinde. Welcome.
Hi guys, good morning. I'm sorry for this early morning session. So I'm excited to have you all here, and there's a small request that I have for all of you. If you could keep your cameras on so that we could keep this session a little interactive because I'm sleepy. So it could keep me awake and help me get through the session. Thank you, Sanya, for introducing me as well. Also, my brief history with Gundecha has been since 2004. I was probably one of the students who joined in the first year of college, the school. And since then, I've been with the school somewhere and somehow. And that's how it brings me here today. Guys, before I begin, I see a lot many people who have switched off their cameras. I want to switch them on. And if you have anything while I'm talking, while I'm taking this session, you can just ping in your questions. You can stop me wherever you all want. You can just raise your hand whenever you feel like and ask me questions. It's okay. Technical reasons, I understand. Technical reasons, not a problem at all. But as soon as you're okay, you have a question, you can just raise your hands and probably will come up to you and solve your query then and then. So yeah, I think we're good to go. Are we? Sanya, are we good to go?
Yeah, I'll just present the screen.
All right. The basics, I'd like to ask all of you. Before we get into hotel management as a specific subject, I want to ask her, what is hospitality in general? Please, if you can just tell me in the chat box, what do you all understand by this one word called hospitality? You can raise your hands and answer as well. I don't have a problem with that. So anybody who can tell me what hospitality is, because at the end of the day, we are all sitting here to discuss a subject called hotel management. And before that, I want to just clear out one very small term, which is called hospitality, which holds a lifelong value and a word when you start getting into this industry. So I want all of your customer service. Dhruv mentioned customer service. Anything else? Anybody else? Somebody's raised their hands. UPRXAR. You can go ahead. Yeah, you can unmute yourself and go ahead.
It's like a friendly and very generous way to address the guest customers.
Okay. It's one of the correct answers. One of the answers. Then there's one more guy who had raised his hand. Okay. Any more answers? Friendliness, customer service,
welcoming people, and all that.
okay. And okay. Hospitality in the most simplest terms, if I say that when somebody comes to your house, whether it's a guest or whether it's probably a delivery guy or anybody who's just coming into your place, what's the first thing that you do? You offer them water. You offer them water. Am I right or wrong? That's the basics and basics of hospitality you can start off with. It is providing it's providing people with services to assist them and delight them. It's the lamest definition of hospitality. So we're going to talk about hotel management today, but hospitality is the larger picture of hotels. We all work in hotels. We all work in different sectors of the hospitality industry. for this specific word. We're all here at one place together to discuss about what's hospitality, but we're going to narrow down to hotel management. Sanya, can you just move to the next slide, please? All right. So all of us are here and probably we're interested in this field. I want to know from you all first that why do we need to pursue it, or why do it? What drives you to do it? I want to know that first, then I can come up with my topics. Anybody? Why do you feel like doing hotel management, and why are you here today for this session?
Can I?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so because when I do something, not even like cooking or something in this feel like doing a good gesture to someone who comes, it makes me feel happy, or like I'm eager to do this. Like
Okay.
I get a sense of satisfaction.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So I've again got an answer in the chat box. Sanya, would you like to read that?
So basically, I'm personally very much driven towards culinary purely, but from what I've learned, hospitality students have more job opportunities than just culinary, and hospitality includes culinary, so I'm going for that. This is what is mentioned by UPR/XR.
Anybody else who would like to give me probably a reason, or why do you want to pursue this? So that we know what page are we on, and probably from there we can take this forward. Anybody? Okay. So hotel management, why we all pursue is to get professional knowledge. All of us like cooking at home. All of us like serving to the guests who come at home. All of us like cleaning houses sometimes. All of us like to keep our rooms clean. But when you do that professionally in a professional environment, you need a professional degree for the same. And for that, this entire course of hotel management is designed so that we get trained. We all are ready to be professionally able to do these things in a larger perspective. हम घर पे खाना बनाते हैं, we make it for one person. But when we cook for probably 1,000 people a day, you need training for that, because that's how things work up. Because you don't cook for one person in a professional environment, you cook for many more people. Sorry, my examples will be more related to cooking because I am a chef personally. So that's something why we should pursue it. Sanya, we could just skip this, but we'll come back to this later. We can skip this. Okay. So what I again want to explain to you is the hotel management part that we're going to talk about. It's not just cooking. In fact, it's not at all only cooking. We're going to discuss a lot about what happens in the industry apart from cooking, and also a little bit of cooking. So I think, Sanya, we can go to the next slide wherein we come to know what the sectors. Okay. So when we were talking about hospitality, I told you all that it's not just hotels, it's a lot more than hotels. And that's where this page comes into place. So when you talk about hospitality, aviation, retail, that's your malls, your retail outlets, all of them are a part of the hospitality industry, because at the end of the day, they're providing services in a physical or an intangible manner, and you're getting delighted. The same goes with event management, marketing, sales, public relations, restaurants. Restaurants and hotels form a major part of the hospitality industry. And the same time, it's a parallel level of travel and tourism that matters, because without travel and tourism, the hotels and restaurants will not function. Again, the same aviation. Aviation is one of the major providers of hospitality services, because without that, you won't have anybody serving you or asking you for water in your flights. So there's a lot that happens in a hotel or even in the industry that is not included into cooking. So in this industry, there are mainly four segments in the hotels. That's your restaurant service, housekeeping, front office, and the kitchen. So these are the basic four prospects. What you see on the screen is sales, marketing, finance, PR, engineering. All of these are essentials of the hotel, which are not really seen. These places, these departments are the people who will never be seen. They will never, when you go to a hotel, they will never, you can never see them. You can see them once in a blue moon when something goes wrong in some equipment in the hotel or the restaurant where you're dining. But these are the guys who hold the hotel up. Like where I work right now, my engineering team is so good, I can say, because they don't get recognition from anybody. They don't meet guests. The guests cannot thank them. But running a 116-year hotel is one of the biggest challenges because it's 116-year-old infrastructure, but it's running with technology that is used in 2021. So managing both the things at the same time is a very difficult thing. And these guys do it, and they're literally, I call them the engineering team, the backbone of a hotel, because these are the guys who keep the hotel literally standing straight. So similarly, your finance, because every hotel, every company needs a finance team, needs an HR team, needs a marketing team, needs a sales team, needs a PR team, because where we are today, standing in the middle of a pandemic, we all need to make sure that the business survives and probably you earn out of the business. That's why you're running a business. That's something. When we're looking at employment, somebody also asked this, what's the employment scope after hotel management? This is the entire picture of what you need to see for when you probably graduate. Because if I'm looking at you all are right now in the 12th standard, most of them, and in the next 3 to 4 years, you'll be graduates will be looking for jobs. Right now, travel and tourism in the world, if you look at the bottom part of the this chart, you see 73 million new travel and tourism jobs by 2022. That's a very big number. It's a very, very big number. And it's not only because, and it's, I can say the number is just coming down as of now because the pandemic is holding up a lot of things. But as soon as this opens up, there's going to be a lot of openings. There's going to be a lot of new things that are going to come in, which can probably increase the number of jobs that are available. So if you look at the countries also, if you don't want to work in India, if you want to go abroad, then there's the Middle East, where there are about 1.2 million new jobs. Europe is about 2.2, and Americas have about 9.6 million new jobs. So I guess even all of the hotel management students who pass out of India in a year will probably get selected in one of the countries totally. So that's about this thing. So I think one of the questions which most of y'all asked me is how do we get in? How do we get into the entire team of hospitality, this and that? So the eligibility criteria of that is basically you have to be at 12th pass. You have to be obviously passed. You have to pass 12th. And 18 to 24 is the age limit of getting into hotel management for a degree, because the reason you get there's an age limit or age cap of 24 years for a degree and some of the diplomas is because after a certain age, when you graduate, I think it's about 25, companies don't really take you for their management training courses. I'm going to come down to what management training courses are and what about a lot of more stuff. And apart from that, all of that, you need an aptitude for guest delight. The industry is something wherein you work for the people. You wake up every day morning, you go to meet, you go to the hotel, you meet guests, you want to see them happy. At the end of the day, you want to see those guests happy. If you don't see them happy, your mood will get upset because they will end up complaining. They will say something which you won't like, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's you who think that, yeah, he's finding it nice. I am happy because somebody called me to the table and said, this was amazing. That's when you feel that sense of content. And that's where you have that aptitude for guest delight. If you have that, you're going to be successful in the industry, no doubt. Okay, so coming on to some serious theory about requirements. As I said, you need to do a 12th pass. You can be of any stream, whether it be science, commerce, arts. That's not compulsory because you're going to be studying everything when you are part of hotel management. Subjects necessary entrances. There are no subjects necessary, but in fact, you can have any of them for your graduation in hotel management. I was personally a commerce and economics student with my third group of physical education. I think I'm doing fair enough in the industry right now. And so there are two major branches, or you can say that degrees are offered these days in the industry. One of them is the regular hotel management, which is usually the BSc in hospitality studies or BA in hospitality studies. And also there is a BA in culinary arts. I will explain the entire, the name suggests the difference, but there's a lot more than that what happens inside when you will actually studying. So I'll explain that in a minute. But just to give a larger perspective on the brief of colleges, there are two types of colleges that are available in almost every other country. One is run by the government of India, and one is run by private institutions. Government colleges have an entire entrance examination process that usually happens. That's called the NCHMCT. That's the National Council of Hotel Management and Catering Technology. So your colleges like the 𝐼HM in Delhi, the 𝐼HM in Mumbai, the 𝐼HM in Goa, 𝐼HM Bangalore, 𝐼HM Hyderabad. So every state has one. Hospitality college that is run by the government, and that's how they're ranked. So if in the current rankings, if you go to see 𝐼HM Pusa, that the one in Delhi is ranked at the best in the country, wherein 𝐼HM Bombay is second, 𝐼HM Goa third, 𝐼HM Bangalore fourth, and so on and so forth. So these are the colleges where you can get in once you graduate from your 12th. You give your NCHMCT. Once you get your results, the first 200 go to Pusa, the later 200 go to Mumbai, third to Goa, and then so on and so forth. So 27 different colleges. There are different rankings for every college that you require, and that's how you get into colleges. On the same side, private institutes have their own set of interviews and tests and whatnot to get into the college. The best ones I can name, if I can name a few, are the 𝐼HM in Aurangabad, the Manipal College, that's the Vaksha, the Welcome Group School of Hospitality Management. That's the Vaksha in Manipal, that is down south. That's one of the good colleges in India. The CI in Hyderabad, the International Institute of Hotel Management, is in multiple locations like Calcutta, Jaipur, Pune, Ahmedabad, Delhi. So, and Bangalore, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, in Bangalore. So these are the multiple locations where these colleges run, and you can get into these colleges for the degrees. Now to come down to hotel management and culinary arts, what's the basic difference? Hotel management is a generic entire course wherein you study about, as I mentioned earlier, there are 4 major departments in the industry. That's the hotel service, the food and beverage service, the food and beverage production, that is the kitchen, the housekeeping, and the front office. So these 4 departments are the major 4 departments that you work in. Like similarly in the engineering field, you have IT, you have electronics, you have civil, and you have all those kinds of subjects you specialize in. Similarly, there are 4 core subjects that you specialize in when you do a hotel management degree. So either you want to be a chef, you want to be a restaurant server, you want to be a housekeeper, you want to be a front desk guy. Depending on your interest, you select your specialization and you start working on that. So hotel management will give you a brief knowledge about all 4 departments in your first 2 years of college. And when you come down to your 3rd year of college, they will ask you to specialize in one field. And that is the field you'll be taking forward and you'll be continuing. But the same thing in culinary arts, you do only 3 years of culinary arts. Once you finish 3 years of culinary arts, you get a bare knowledge or a rough knowledge of what's front office, what's housekeeping, what's service. But hotel management is a little more in-depth in terms of all 4 core departments because it makes you thorough with these 4. Now, the difference between these two, why should probably we not do culinary arts and why should we do hotel management, or why should we do culinary arts and why should we not do hotel management? So in general, in the hotels, you want to grow. Nobody is working to just be a cook or just be a server or just be a housekeeper. Everybody wants to end up being the top of their management. Am I right or am I wrong? If I have to be there on the top of the management, I need to know a lot more things than what I'm doing. So hotel management gives you a basics of all 4, and then you choose what you want to do. It gives you a rough idea of what has to happen, and then you probably go ahead. So as a general manager of the hotel, I would want to know that what is my service doing, and if they're doing something which I don't probably know, they can fool me. The head of the department who knows everything about the subject can fool me and trick me into something which is wrong. Going with the same thing, the chef, if I'm not from the cooking background and I'm the general manager and I don't know anything about cooking, the chef can fool me in terms of cost, in terms of revenue. There's a lot of things that comes in. If I go into the detail right now, we'll probably spend the entire day talking about it. So when we're talking about hotel management, it gives you a brief idea. Where in culinary arts, you just get to know that this is front office, this is what they do, this is how they get things done. That's it. Same, this is service, this is how this happens, this is how get things done. Personally, I had this choice to make when I was getting admitted in college, and my parents told me one thing, that 6 years, 7 years down the line, if you really don't want to be a chef, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, you don't want to be a chef, and if you do your culinary arts, what is the option that you have? Do you have an option to change your department in the future? Do you have an option to change anything which you probably know of? I can change from being a chef if I do culinary arts to be a service person, but I will not have the knowledge to. I will have to start from going back to college, reading those books again, and then starting up. And if I do hotel management, I have a brief idea about what has to happen in what department. I have a brief idea of how to probably serve wine. I have a brief idea about 10 different wines of France. I probably have an idea of different kinds of foods or pairings that are available. It's easier for me to switch. It's easier for me to know that what he has to do. And with this world in 2021, there are guests who expect chefs to help them do wine pairings. There are guests who expect servers to know everything about their food. The guests who expect the front office to know everything and anything about the city or the country at the moment. So that's how people want to know things now, and the guests expect a lot more about you. The customers, by guests I mean customers who are visiting the hotels. It's a very hotel term that we use. Guests, we don't call them customers, we don't call them anything else, we just call them guests, because at the end of the day they are everything and anything for us. So then we look at the education, multiple options. You have a degree in hospitality or diploma in hospitality, or you can choose going international. Internationally, you can go to a few colleges, but that depends on completely your interest, because international colleges also do cost a bomb. They are not very friendly on the pockets. They're really, really expensive. And again, as I explained, you can get into your colleges, either government or private, depending on your interest or your eligibility criteria or the way you want to get it. Yeah, we could just go next. Okay, so I think somebody had also asked, what is the higher education weightage and importance? We're looking at higher education in masters, MBA, or MSc in hospitality. There is something that we all see is in the industry, you never stop learning. It will not be a documented learning. Saying, for example, you're not doing an MBA, you're not doing a PhD, you're not doing something like that. But every day in, day out is something where you learn. If you specifically want to go and do a diploma, if you want to go do an additional diploma, if you want to go do a master's, if you want to go do a MBA, if you want to go do some other course that is available in the market when you graduate, its weightage entirely depends on what you're doing at the moment. Like if you finish college and tomorrow you say, I don't want to work, I want to go do an MBA. When you come back from being an MBA, you're still a fresher. In major professions like IT, in banking and all that, MBA holds an importance because you directly grow a position. In the industry like hospitality, wherein human training is required, when human training is required, you need to know that before gaining that little bit of experience, you won't get that weightage of getting promoted to a higher level, and you won't be able to probably make your way faster. It's going to be the same, but it probably, if you have experience about say 2 years as a manager, and then you go do your MBA from a good college internationally or from India, you come back as a director. That's a big difference. But if I pass out hotel school and I say I don't have anything, I have any knowledge, I will just go, I will do my master's and come back because I want to do it. If I do that and I come back, I'm going to still join as a server. So you guys can tell me what's the better option: taking that 2 years experience, going abroad, or going to any good colleges in India, getting an MBA, getting my master's, coming back and becoming the director. So when you are having a good backup, wherein you can give it saying that I went as a manager, I'm coming back as a director. But if you have no experience, because they will know that you don't have any experience, you're a fresher right from college, you're a raw book, they need to start training you with everything that needs to happen. Because what you learn in college is the basic. When you come to a hotel and you start working in a hotel, you train according to that hotel. So you move from that hotel to another hotel, you have to start training yourself according to that hotel. Because the service that you get at probably a Taj is not the service that you will get at the Marriott or the Oberoi. The service that you get at a Ramada and a Renaissance and a Westin and an Oyo is all different. Depending on where you are, what quality of clientele that you are catering at, things change. And that's how you have to change every time you move. And that's how your education will not matter if you're a fresher. Like maximum, if you join in fresh out of college, you can start on the entry level. But probably if you have an MBA or a master's, you can come down as a supervisor. But what is it, getting into a supervisor at an early level, or you get into a manager position, then you do an MBA and become a director? I think that's a bigger jump, if I'm not wrong. Also, somebody asked, what is the average fees for pursuing hotel management in a private and government college? The fees of a government college, if I'm not wrong, is approximately 2.25 lakhs or 2.5 lakhs. That's the fees, tuition fees that is required. Plus, additionally, you have to spend for uniforms, your knife kits, because your knife kit is something very basic which every hotel management student needs to buy. Because in the first 2 years or the first 3 years, you have a lot of bit of cooking that happens. So uniforms and your tuition fees, approximately 3.5 lakhs. Well, 3.5, if you can say 4.5 lakhs is the maximum amount when you spend for a government college for 3 years. Private colleges depends where you're doing it from. If I'm not wrong, 𝐼HM Aurangabad, the fees there is right now 28 lakhs for the 4 years course. But that includes your hostel fees and your meals and everything. So it's approximately 28 lakhs. And it also gives you an additional degree option from 𝐸COLDO and where not from the world. So you have multiple options that you can get through from 𝐼HM Aurangabad as well. Similarly, Manipal has about 27 lakhs. But there are different colleges, there are different fees that they charge depending on what service, what quality of education they provide, where are they located, what's the brand name of the institute. All of that matters. Similarly, Is syllabus of private college and government college different? Yes, it is. Government colleges, I would say, they're still running in the year 1993 in terms of menus and all of that. But it's sometimes necessary to know these menus as well, because these are the classics at the end of the day. I was just going through something yesterday, and finally there's a committee that is set up to change the syllabus of the government colleges, which was set up in 1992, 1993. So it's a 20-year-old syllabus that is followed right now. And it's finally there's a team that is sitting up in the ministry to literally decide, okay, now we need to change this, and now they're going to change it. So I don't know if it's going to take how long, but they're going to take a slight change in the syllabus, but probably it'll take another 2-3 years. But private colleges do adopt and enact everything year on year. Like there's a cooking system called sous vide. If has anybody heard about what is sous vide? I'll just spell it in the chat box so it's easier for you to understand. This is a cooking technique called sous vide, which is slow cooking in a water bath. Okay, so it's a very expensive equipment. Probably it's a very small device. It probably costs around 70,000 rupees for that device. It keeps the water on a specific temperature for a longer period of time. It will not. So if you're boiling water on the gas, you want it at 64 degrees Celsius, but the gas has a power. Even if you control it, because there are two knobs, medium, slow, and high. That's the only option you have. So manually controlling that to 63 degrees is a very difficult task. And if it go, because it will go to 64, it will come back to 63, it'll go down, it'll go up, it'll come down. It's not constant. But in a machine like a sous vide, if you want to cook something at 63, the water will remain at 63 for how many hours you. In a government college, you will hear about what is a sous vide. You will know what is a sous vide. But in a private college, probably you will get to work with a sous vide. I think have I made my point clear, Vanshika? Yeah. Any other questions? Or we can probably go ahead. Okay. So we're talking about vocational courses. There are multiple courses that are run by the government also, wherein they have started this project called the Skill India project, wherein there's a department in the ministry called the Tourism and Hospitality Skill Council. They offer multiple vocational courses for people who want to join the industry, they want to join the skill certification training, they want to do something like that. So the THSC is the Tourism and Hospitality Skill Council, based out of New Delhi. They sit and they make courses for people who would really like to get in the industry. But vocational courses is something which will get you working in a small restaurant, like a Shiv Sagar or a smaller one than that probably, which is just a kind of everyday restaurant that you go to. But vocational course would never get you a job, land you a job in a hotel. Similarly, diplomas are something which are coming to trend right now. There are places like the Lavon in Bangalore, the School of European Pastry in Bombay, the Academy of Pastry and Culinary Arts in multiple locations of the country. These colleges have started, schools have started offering diplomas in hotel management, or diplomas in culinary arts, or diploma in pastries and bakery. So these diplomas are worth it now, because if you look at international colleges also, like the Locarno Law, they offer a diploma. The diploma is called the Le Grand Diploma, which is the highest diploma you can get at that college. It's again the diploma, the patisserie, and the diploma culinary. So these are the diplomas that multiple colleges offer, and they also help you get in a job because of the quality of learning that you get. It's a 6 months to a year's course, depending on where you are and what location you are at. It's like, I think the Lavon Bangalore does a diploma for 6 months. They do 2 batches a year, and they do a diploma, and probably that's one of the finest pastry schools I've seen. Because hotel schools will not even teach you so much of pastry, that a college which is going to teach you pastry 5 years ahead of India. So it's going to be that there are colleges which are actually that good, which help you do a lot of stuff. So yeah, diplomas are applicable. Again, we're looking at a small chart which helps you identify what fields are there in, or probably what can you get to after once you finish the hotel management. Say, for example, the diploma courses, you can start working in a food and beverage service, housekeeping, front office, food production, bakery. Again, the same thing goes to the bachelor degree courses. You can do again the management when you specify or you specialize in one of the fields like mentioned above. That's the housekeeping, food and beverage service, front office operations, or food production. And again, there's a generic course wherein you can work wherever you want, but you don't have a specialization. Like personally, I did my specialization in culinary when I did my hotel management, but I am certified as a specialized culinary professional. If you do a generic one, you don't have that specific. Probably if you do if I did it in food and beverage service, I would say that I have a food and beverage service thing. Similarly, you have craft courses available also. Different government-based colleges, like I spoke about 𝐼𝐚𝐿, I spoke about 𝐼𝐚 Bombay. These colleges also offer a craftsman course, wherein it's like a 2-week or 3-week or 4-week or weekend course, wherein it's mostly for home professionals, home cooks who really are enthusiastic about cooking, and they want to just learn for the sake of learning. And these are courses for them. But you can also take these courses and start working in the industry. You can start working at a bakery, you can start working at a pastry shop or a cafe, and you can start doing small stuff. Again, postgraduate courses are offered also by the NCHMCD, that's the government, which has an MSc in Hospitality Administration, and it has a PG diploma in Accommodations Management. So accommodations management is equivalent to accommodation. Sorry, that's front office and housekeeping together, which is commonly termed as accommodations. And the other side is food and beverage. That is service and the production at the same time. Okay, and that's how it functions. So the hospitality administration is a generic, again, course that happens from masters, and accommodations management is only in specifics to housekeeping and front office. So that's about what NCHMCD offers. Okay, very simple. Would you suggest Priyanshu, I would suggest a diploma, and if you have an option of a degree in food production, I would suggest a food production degree. At the end, weightage also matters. And if you can help me, where did you see a 1.6-year craftsman course? I'd be very grateful so that I can also see, because the amount of because I've seen a craftsman course at Pusa for 6 weeks. Okay, so I would suggest a degree or a diploma, because depends on where you get this craftsmanship or you get a degree from. If you're so keen on getting into food production, you can do a degree in culinary arts, wherein you have double the time to learn. And kitchen is a place where the more amount of years you spend, that's the amount of learning you get. Like even if I run a kitchen today, I still don't have the complete learning to cook every dish possible in the world, or I don't have the finish to cook everything possible in the world. So there's a lot more that you need, more than just a degree or a diploma. At the end of the day, it's upon you who's going to do. Baba, you sent me an entire link. So I'll just go read this course that you sent. Okay, there's no college. Is there a college that you mentioned? Okay, so I'm sorry. I just went in to read what Priyanshu had sent in. But it's a generic article that you sent me. Most of the craftsman course depends on which college and how they're offering. And about it. But diploma and degree is something which is going to be more effective when you look at the CV. When you're making a CV, so when you're working in the industry, I would say the first 5 years make a big difference. The first 5 years are where you make your CV. The first 5 years, you don't look at your working hours. The first 5, you don't look at your salary. The first 5, you don't look at anything else but working. But these are the 5 years where you make your CV. You make everything on your CV very good to get a good job. if you have a good degree, you could check 1 point. If you have a good experience, you get a check good point. A training, good point. Then if you are a management trainee or something additional to your CV, again checked. And then you look at the final work experience where you are. That's the 5th point that they check. So that's how you land up getting a good job in the industry. Again, so I would say it depends on your choice. At the end of the day, education, what you need is your choice. But if I were you in your place, I would have gone for a diploma or degree. Okay, so we all spoke about colleges in India, colleges in. We didn't speak about colleges in Bombay. That's a surprise. But yeah, we spoke about private and government colleges in India. But there are multiple international colleges and institutes that offer a degree or a diploma, or master's, certificate course in hospitality. So the Swiss Hotel Management School, which is also now known as the IMI, the International Management Institute, it's in Switzerland. And again, the GEAAA Institute of Higher Education offers a master's. The 𝐶𝐚𝐧𝐢𝐥 𝐁𝐡𝐢𝐧𝐿 is a college which is famous, as I spoke earlier, is famous for its diploma in pastry and culinary courses, which is in multiple locations of the world. The main one is in Paris, and one's in London, one's in Canada. They shot one in the US, then there's one in Australia. There are 3 in Australia, if I'm not wrong. I think they've opened one in India as well. I'm not sure about the location. I think it's in Noida, but they've opened one small branch of the 𝐶𝐚𝐧𝐢𝐥 in India. So there are multiple locations, but very, very they're very expensive to do. The tuition fees at one of these colleges would be easily up to 40 to 45 lakhs for a diploma. Again, so La Roche, Switzerland is again a hospitality college, which is one of the finest, one of the top 5 colleges in the world. Again, the Culinary Institute of America, the one in New York, Hyde Park, is the best college in the world for culinary chefs or aspiring chefs. It's again a very expensive college in terms of finance. It's about the tuition fees, or in fact, the total fee that you can end up paying is about 1.2 crores. That's not a small amount, I can understand. But yeah, if you are interested in that and you expect that you can take the risk of getting that returns, you can sure and go there. It's one of the finest colleges in the world. I can see a comment, a question. I'm currently doing my degree in courses of hotel management, but I want to specialize in pastry. So applying for a diploma course in the 𝐶𝐚𝐧𝐢𝐥 or 𝐿AVON worth it. So yeah, Ariman, if I can ask, where are you doing your hotel management from? Ariman's gone. Oh, 𝐼HM Bombay. So Ariman, you can obviously start working on on your pastry specialization when you get time in college. When you start getting time in college, you can probably go to your pastry chef and ask him, chef, when I have the free time, I think you must not even have the time to go to college right now. Is your college operational? So I'll wait for your answer, but till then, you can start practicing at home if you're not going to college physically. But once you start going to college physically, you can ask a pastry chef that you need to start trying as of now, because you specialize from your college itself. But a diploma course in the 𝐶𝐚𝐧𝐢𝐥 or a 𝐿AVON is worth it. I can say 𝐿AVON is 100% worth it because I have worked there. I have gained a fair bit of experience in that college in terms of my journey when I was a participant at WorldSkills. They were my trainers for desserts in India. So we used to go down to Bangalore, train under them, finalize the desserts and come back. So I know where the thought processes go. Okay, so I know where the thought processes are. It's equivalent to any of the colleges in the world right now. You have the best of the chefs that come in to train you, the best of the ingredients that you have to work with. I've not seen any of those ingredients in any other colleges in India right now. Right from the ruby chocolate, if you're into so much into pastry, I can say you must be knowing what the ruby chocolate is. The ruby chocolate is a naturally found pinkish color, ruby colored chocolate, which has been found recently in 2019. And it's a naturally occurred chocolate. So it's not the natural color of chocolate when you extract everything is brown. This is a ruby colored chocolate, and I've seen them working, and it's a very expensive chocolate. Like if I'm not wrong, the one kg of the chocolate bag costs about something around 3,000 rupees. That's the raw chocolate. So you process it and then you sell it further, it's more expensive. So that college uses that kind of chocolate to use it with the students and start processing those chocolates. So that's important. Again, Le Cordon Bleu is something where you can go and get your name badge or stamped on. You get a jacket where it says Le Cordon Bleu and people start fantasizing you because you're from a fancy college. But it's a good college, I'm not saying. But that's again, if you have the financial ability to spend about 42 lakhs and go to Le Cordon Bleu, you can go there as well. But in India, right now, the finest colleges you can go for pastry is Levon. If you're not going to travel, you're willing to travel to Bangalore, you can look at the School of European Pastry in Bombay. That is in Andheri. And if you want to go up north, there's a college called Indian School of Hospitality, ISH, which is recently opened. So they have good trainers who do good pastry. So these are the three places you want to look in India, or if you want to go abroad, Le Cordon Bleu is there. There's one more college. I think if you can reach me out to me on my DM later, I could probably help you out with one more college internationally that only specializes in pastry. So I could help that out, help you out that link as well. Okay.
I just think like before we can go, Shlok, did you have any question? You would raise your hand. Shlok. I think so. Like,
Can a science student pursue this course?
Yeah. You can be of any field, science, commerce, or art. You can just pursue it when you feel like. But you just have to have basic percentage that the college requires for you to enter. But you can be of any stream, whether it be science, commerce, or art. Because at the end of the day, the subjects that you'll end up learning is hotel engineering, architecture. Apart from the 4 core subjects that I spoke about earlier, you'll end up learning hotel engineering. You're learning hotel architecture. You'll end up learning interior design, accounts, finance, marketing. All of these are subjects in hotel management. And because you need to know a lot more than those 4 core subjects. So that's you're going to learn a lot more. So you have to do that. Okay. So Sanya, when I was discussing about this yesterday, and she told me that there are a lot of people who are looking at unconventional careers in the hospitality. There are multiple, as I spoke about what's gonna what can happen to you if you don't want to be a chef, if you don't want to be a server, you don't want to be a guy at the front desk, you don't want to be a guy at the housekeeping department. There are multiple departments that I spoke about earlier where you can be a part of. Also, if you don't want to be a part of hotels, you can be a part of restaurants. These days, PR is hitting up with the restaurants and it's hitting up with the hotels. Because to get in business, you need a good PR. So I think digital marketing, your social media marketing, and all of this is just coming into place right now for hotels. And it's something which is recently introduced for hotels. And hotels have started taking up very seriously to this topic because they're really wanting to get this clientele down to hotels and start getting from the hotel. That's one of the unconventional job roles in a hotel, because when you look at a hotel, when I walk into a hotel, I look at the 4 departments. I don't interact with these people. Again, something else is about a food analyst or an R&D chef. These are jobs wherein your job is to walk into a kitchen and you're only making dishes. You're trying, testing, looking at probably the nutritional value, you're looking at the calorific value, and you move back. The next day you can go in, you try another dish, you try and develop new recipes. So these R&D chefs are basically who work for they work for bigger companies and bigger pastry brands like the Theobromaz, the La 15, the La Folie, if you've heard about the Masala Library. So all of these big kitchens which have multiple restaurants and they have one menu running around. They have one kitchen called the R&D kitchen, wherein the chef, there's a team of chefs that only come in and brainstorm, make new dishes every day, look at the calorific value, look at the nutritional factors, and a lot more stuff that they look into it. And they look at the trainings to other kitchens. So it's one central kitchen that works upon the recipe, and that's how it follows around the country then. So being an R&D kitchen chef is one of very upcoming thing that is coming up these days. Apart from that, there's sales. As I spoke about sales and marketing, I spoke about finance. Finance is again something where you can look at, and you can also start looking at hotel engineering as a factor, because hotel engineering is something which it looks a very unconventional job, because people usually feel engineering is part of different fields, but hotels really require engineers at the maximum when they're looking at that. Okay, so I'm going to quickly come down to some things that okay. So what we're talking about hotel management. Once we finish the 3 years of, let's take an example. We're finishing 3 years of hotel management. We're finishing 3 years of hotel management. What we looked at? We look at a job. So there are 3 levels where you can basically enter a hotel or a restaurant as a chef, as a server, as a manager. So the 3 basic levels are your entry level. Once you pass out, you sit for your campus interviews, and you get in as an employee of the hotel as an entry level. That's wherein you become a server, you become a commie. A commie is a cook who basically does the cooking part of everything that happens. You become a housekeeper, attendant, wherein you start doing rooms and service. And that's the front office receptionist, which starts taking check-ins and all that. Again, then there are hotels which run programs for freshly graduated hotel management students, wherein you can be there are 2 levels in that again. So there are one of them is a hospitality hotel operations training program, which is a supervisory training program. So it's a 1-year training program which all hotels offer, mostly all hotels offer. And when you become a supervisor in 1 year of training. So when I was talking about masters, when we were talking about masters in further education, where I spoke about get an experience as a manager first and then probably go forward, we can say that you can get into one of these programs once you graduate. When you graduate, you finish one of these programs, you get a supervisor's position. You stay there for a 6 months to 1 year period. Then you go back, do your masters, and probably when you come back, you become a manager. So and the other third program that the hotels offer are something called the management training program. So out of the entire number of graduates that graduate from India, that's approximately 76,000 graduates per year. Every company will take in up to 30 people, maximum of 30 people, wherein they will train for 2 years or 1.5 years, depending on what field of expertise they are at. And they will end up sending them and posting them as managers of different outlets or different departments. So which is probably a course wherein which you would take 8 years otherwise to become a manager at a restaurant, or manager at a bar, or manager at the front desk, or the manager at the kitchen. It's an approximate journey of 8 to 10 years that takes, which this program will probably help you get in 1.5 to 2 years. So once you get this degree and you get your position as a manager or as a chef in charge of an outlet, you can take another experience of 1.5 years or 2, and then you can probably go out and looking for your masters. So once you get going on your masters, you have a good CV. You have a CV as a junior sous chef or a sous chef or a restaurant manager or a bar manager or the duty manager at the reception. You get a good title when you go forward, and you don't want to come back to the company where you're working at. You go for the masters, and then you go to the third company. They will see, oh, you're a manager. Oh, you could then went to your further studies. Okay, we'll offer you a director's position. Why don't you join us? So that's how you need to develop your CV. And one thing is very important, that marks really don't matter wherein what you're doing in the industry. Obviously, you need to study. You need to study a lot. And I'm saying that because there are subjects which are not probably comfortable with you. You'll not be able to do a lot of subjects. Like for me, the worst subjects for me were the interior design subjects. I could not understand anything. I still can't understand any of that point. But these are the topics you need to understand, and you need to make sure that you can just understand them. You don't need to score 100 on them. But if you understand these subjects, if you understand these topics, you are uh, probably going to take off from there. And at the end of the day, when you're sitting for your interview, the CV that you carry with you, the file that you carry with you is not going to be seen. What the person will look at is how you're carrying yourself, is how you're talking, and how you're going forward with it. So that's how some things are going to work up with that. Again, when you talk about hotels are not only places to work after you graduate. You can start working in restaurants also, because the restaurant industry is something which is booming up in the world right now. If you look at, they've suffered major losses because of the pandemic. But if you look at the first people to come back in the industry are going to be restaurants. Personally, I'm moving to a restaurant as well. I quit hotels and I'm moving back to restaurants, wherein there's a lot more learning that happens in restaurants. There's a lot more difference that happens in restaurants. Not saying hotels are bad, but restaurants have a lot of different kind of experience and freedoms that you get. So restaurants have their own experience, hotels have their own experience, and similarly, bars have their own experience. So getting experience of everything is necessary. And personally, I'm on that phase of life where I spent 4 years in hotels, and I need change. So probably I am moving to a restaurant, just get a hang of how things work in the restaurant. That's something about what. But again, if you look at hotel management and a day in the life of us, it's a very difficult day. At the end of the day, you have to keep yourself very motivated. I'm going to bust some myths out here right now before we move on to question and answers, because I really want you to understand that it's not a culinary place only. Number one, it's not a place where you go in as your third or fourth career option. It's not a place where you will go in saying, looking at MasterChef Australia, oh man, they make such great food. I will go because MasterChef Australia is so easy. It looks very, very fascinating. It is fascinating at given points of time. When we cook also, sometimes we like, ye humne banaya. And so that's very fascinating that you see it. But the industry is a very glamorous industry. You feel that the managers, if you go to a hotel, you see a manager wearing a nice, stunning black suit or blazer, and they're well dressed, they're well carried, looking good, and everything is there. But and probably they must be thinking from the outside, yaar, ye log celebrities ke liye khana banate hain, ye log stars ke liye ye karte hain, ye log iske liye wo karte hain, uske liye wo karte hain. But the actual truth is, there is a lot more that goes into it than just cooking for celebrities and everything. So it's a tough time that you spend, but it's at the end of the day, when you're cooking, the days are long, the days are very, very long. But when you come back and you have one guest telling you that you did amazing today, that sense of content that you get is probably all of us still go to work every day. One instance is something that happened to us. I think it happened to me years back. I was in the hotel about 9 o'clock in the morning, and I was finishing off my work at, let's say, around 10:30, 11 at night, and I get a call saying, suddenly you have to wait back. I said, I've already been here for more than 14 hours. What more you want me to wait back? And I had, so I didn't know, I was pretty new to that hotel, and I specialize in modern European and Italian food. So my boss called me up saying that, son, there's Jeff Bezos in the hotel. I hope you guys know who Jeff Bezos is. He was in the hotel and he wants to have a pasta. So I said, okay, somebody can make it and give it to him. Like, no, we want you to make it for him. I said, okay, so should I make it right now? Because I really wanted to go home that day because it was already 11:30 in the night and I was tired. So he's like, no, you got to wait for his call. And I was waiting from 11:30 and he called finally at 2:30 for his pasta, 2:30 a.m. for his pasta. I was literally cribbing till 2:30 a.m. and I made his pasta somehow and left. And I was literally irritated because we have come at 9:30 in the morning and 2:30 a.m. he's asking for the pasta. You feel like, क्या है यार, ये इसको थोड़ी भी वो नहीं है कि staff सुबह का आता है ये वो. And the next day morning, I get a mail from the general manager of the hotel saying that this is the, and he's written a note like this is one of the finest pastas he's had in this country ever. So that sense of content, it gives you a drive to go forward and make something every other day. And that's how we all probably look forward to do things. Okay. Anything else you want me to answer? You can just unmute your mics and we can all start talking now.
I just think like before we go ahead, you can just any of your experience, like your day starting, ending, professionally, what you actually do would be great so that, we get to know what actually happens while you're in the kitchen or something.
Okay. So an average day of me. So I work at Taj Mahal Palace, Bombay, which is very far from where I live. And I think very far from where almost all of us live, if considering the fact that we're all from villagers. So usually I wake up at 6 in the morning and I try to head out to work at 7:15. Reach the hotel by approximately 8:30, 8:45, and get in. The first thing I walk into my kitchen. The first thing I get into the walk-in, which is a reach-in freezer, which is like a room, which is a fridge. Basically, it's a fridge which is actually as big as a room. You have to actually go in to get stuff out. So I first walk in there. That's how my day begins. I first go in, check in what's happening, what's up with the ingredients, and how things are going. Then I walk into the restaurant, look at how the breakfast buffet is looking, because I work in a 24-hour restaurant. And the first thing I have to look at, because when I enter, it's about breakfast time, and I start looking at the breakfast buffet. Once I'm done looking at the breakfast buffet, I walk into the kitchen, see how the mise en place is done, have a bit of tastings, see what's done by the boys. Then I try and look at my mails if I have the time in the morning, because I need to sit and make a list of the things I have to do for the day. By 10:30, breakfast gets over. 10:30, 10:45. Take a 10-15 minute break. Get into our morning meetings. We usually have a chef's meeting at 11:30, wherein we discuss what's going to happen, what happened bad yesterday, what could happen yesterday. There's a lot of discussions that happen. There's a lot of improvements that we look at, and by 12:30, that meeting gets over. So by 12:30, we start setting up for lunch service, which goes up until 3:15. 3:15, we have another meeting that is again with the chefs, discussing of what has to be done for the remaining part of the day and planning for the next day. Because when you sit at 11:30, you discuss what happened wrong in the next day, previous day. At 3:15, 3:30, you sit and discuss what's the plan for the next day. So 3:15, we look at the meeting, and we try and finish having lunch at the same time, so that we're all pumped up for the evening. 3:15. So by that, start finishes also mostly at 4 o'clock, and then we start looking at the paperwork that we need to finish. Because as chefs, we need to look at a lot of paperwork in terms of hygiene, in terms of food ordering, in terms of cost management, and all that. So we look at food, and we try and finish all our ordering for vegetables and fruits and butchery, and a lot more things that are supposed to be ordered. We try and finish it off by the 4 o'clock time. Once it's 4, I usually go back to my office, sit and finish all my emails and start looking at what I have to finish and what not. I start doing a little bit of research of what new menus have to be done. So, and by 5:30, I'm back in the kitchen on a round, wherein I just see what's happening, what production has happened, how things have gone. Are they properly tagged? Are they properly placed? Are they properly covered? Are they properly made? Are they tasting fine? Are they as per recipes? And by 6 o'clock, I start sending my boys for the breaks, who usually have come in the afternoon. Once they come back at 7 to 11:30 is again dinner service, which is again a very different service that is there from your breakfast and your lunch service. So that's there. 11:30, I finish my meals again. 11:45, I usually end my day. So that's about my average day at the hotel.
Intense and hardworking, I can say.
That's my average day at the hotel. So yeah, that's on an empty day like this. But it's a fun thing because you are with people and around people all the time. So you have something or the other going on. There's something or the other banter that is played along all day. It's not like we're only working. It's all about you having fun and while you cook. It's having fun when you're just working. It's not just being all serious and just doing cooking. But we have a lot of fun in the kitchen. We're always just doing something else or doing something or the other. So it's a fun place to be in.
So I think I have a question. I don't know
Yeah.
about others, but you mentioned that it's very friendly. So normally, people from the industry say that's a lot of hierarchy and people are not really friendly and everything. So is it true? There's a
Okay.
lot of
So when you join in the industry, you're for 21, 22, when we join, when all of us join, when we start working in hotels as a professional. So when we first go into hotels, we go as a trainee, wherein we're about 19 and a half, 20 years old. And when we come back to the industry, we're about 21. Okay. So when we are working in the hotels, there are people who have been working in that hotel for about 30, 35 years. And their experience is much more than our age. And when you walk in, and this also happened to me when I walked in the kitchen as the chef of the restaurant. The team never listened to me. First 6 months, they never listened. If I say something, they will do right the opposite. Because obviously, when you have a 23 or 24-year-old walking into the kitchen, when you walk into the kitchen at an age where their experience is more than your age, they've been working for the last 30 years, and they know a lot more than cooking, a lot more about cooking than you do, and you suddenly are their boss, and they suddenly have to report to you. It becomes very difficult to get their attention and to get their respect from them. And it's a give and take relationship that you have with them. You keep them happy, they keep you happy, and that's how the banter that you play with them, and that's how you adjust it. Because every kitchen you take time to adjust, because there's a lot of people and a lot of minds that you have to play with to get them to your side and make them your team. And when you're leaving, that's something that affects that. Yeah. Now they realize that initially when I walked in the kitchen, it's like, "Ha, naya ladka aaya hai, koi to hai." But now when I'm leaving, now they know that I'm leaving. It's like, "Hamara chef ja raha." So that's the difference that it creates when you start connecting with humans. Okay, so there are two questions. Also to answer, have I answered your question? Or is there anything left?
yeah.
Okay,
I
so what's
just
my
want to
rank?
ask you, should I stop the screen share so that your question?
No, it's okay. It's okay. It can just be there. Can I ask what's your rank and how the rank? Okay, so Priyanshu, my rank is currently a junior sous chef, and the hierarchy in a hotel works in like an executive chef is the boss of the hotel. I'm talking about larger hotels, not smaller hotels. Larger hotels have one executive chef who takes care of everything and anything that is going on in the kitchen. Then there are executive sous chefs. Executive sous chefs are usually 2 or 3 in number. They are the second in charges of the hotel's kitchens, wherein they take care of multiple kitchens at the same time. So like one executive sous chef can take care of pastry and bakery. One executive sous chef can take care of the banquet kitchens, the all-day dining kitchens, and the IRD or the in-room dining kitchens. And the third executive sous chef can take care of all the specialty restaurants at the same time. Like a hotel where I work in, you have 7 restaurants, 13 banquet venues, and in-room dining services. So in total, we have 16 kitchens that work on. So the hierarchy starts from being an executive chef, the executive sous chef, then is a sous chef that takes care of individual departments. So individual departments are taken care of by a sous chef or a junior sous chef in the department, depending on the availability of whoever the manager is. So in the case of where I am right now, though I am a junior sous chef, I take care of the kitchen called Shamiana at the Taj Mahal Palace. Aman is asking me, how does human factor come in during daily ops? Aman, how many hours do you sleep a day? Please tell me. He's not there. He's there. He's not there. I think he's left. He's there. Okay. So you can't talk. You can't talk about daily operations and long hours non-stop work. Yeah. So we are the same thing. Okay. Any other questions that we will look at? Anchi, the industry is, I can agree that it has been affected real bad, and the companies have faced major losses. But if I might just ask, what grade are you right now in? Are you in the 12th, or are you in the 11th, or are you in the 10th? You're in the 12th right now. So you were in 2021 and you'll pass out in 2022. So when you start your hotel management, you will start in 2022 and you'll finish in 2025, if I'm not wrong. Is that right? Okay. So when you pass out in 2025, I don't think that the industry's got sufficient time to recover for itself for the next 3 years or the next 4 years. So when you join in, it's going to be probably going to be one of the industry that is booming. Because as soon as this pandemic situation improves, people have started working and people have started traveling already. Like today, I know for a fact that I have more than 800 guests in the hotel. Wherein during the pandemic, having 100 was a bit difficult. So people, as soon as they get a chance, they want to move out of their houses, and as soon as they find a safe environment, they'll be going to restaurants and they'll be going to hotels, because at the end of the day, they really can't sit at home all the time. So as soon as they find a safe space in one of these two places, they're going to go there and start using the services. So when you finish in 2025, you will have the industry is going to be back at the upcoming scale. So if you look at it right now it's at a plateau wherein it reached a high, went down, it's back on a plateau. But in 2025, it's going to go up again. So yeah, it's something where you can take this career option. Okay, so how's the pressure of cooking for world leaders? Okay, who's this question? Okay, it's a big pressure. I remember the last time I was out, I was in Varanasi. I traveled from Bangalore to Varanasi for about a good 48 hours, and we had to take the trains because there's no direct flight, or something was wrong with the flight, so we had to take the trains. And we reached Varanasi at 5:30 in the morning, and 7:30, one of the chefs of the hotels in Delhi walked up to me and saying, "Sanal, you know why we're here, right?" Yeah, we have. So there was a meeting of the Prime Minister, half the cabinet of the ministry, and the 4 international leaders who were also there in that conference. And we reached, and 7:30 I get the notification that you have a sit down for 350 people. So 350 people sit down, meaning, and then when it's a state sit down, 350 plates have to go out of the kitchen at the same time. And it has to go out at the same time, come in at the same time. The next course goes out at the same time, comes in at the same time. So I think 7:30 we started prepping for this event, and I didn't know that this is going to happen. I was leading that event that day. I didn't know about it till I reached Varanasi, and I get the papers in my hand saying that you're the head of the event and you got to take care of it. And that pressure that you feel is really intense, because there are a lot of things that you need to make sure, because you can't have any of these issues while you're cooking for the Prime Minister or anybody in the matter of fact from the ministry, because there's a lot of checking that happens. There's a lot of sampling that happens just before you serve it to them. And it's not more than just cooking. The dispensing is also a big factor, because you're standing at one place, and as soon as you say go, there are 350 plates going out of this kitchen at the same time, and all of them 350 have to be hot. You can't play around with temperatures. You can't play around with quality. You can't play around with anything of that sort. So it's very difficult in that point. So it's a very high pressure game that is there, but it's fun at the end of the day when the dessert course gets picked up and the celebration that the team does, because I think we start very early when it's such a case. We start at 3 a.m. in the morning to set up the event and start cooking, and we finish at 9:30, because even if it's one lunch, that's how long it goes. So yeah, that's something which is very high pressure, but it's fun at the end of the day. Any other questions?
So there is one question. If I want to have my own restaurant in future, is BHM the course which would work for me?
I would suggest you can have any other courses. You can have a specific course of all. If you want, you can take a culinary course, or you can take a BHM course. That is all fine. because, in fact, I would suggest that you should take a BHM course, because having knowledge of everything, a little bit of everything, is also necessary when you start running your own restaurant. Because when you're working in a hotel, and you're doing a culinary course, you would not know what the licenses that are required to run a restaurant, the licenses required to run a fire extinguisher in a kitchen, the licenses required to use the gas in the kitchen, the licenses required to use alcohol in a restaurant. So the multiple licenses that are required. So basics of everything that you get in is you get something in hotel management. What are my views on the viability of food van business? Okay, food van business, where in India? In India or in abroad? India, in Bombay. Okay. Food trucks, if I'm not wrong, if you're asking about food trucks, food trucks are a very good concept. Personally, if I could get a truck to run, I would run it myself. But running it in India is not a viable option. Why am I saying this? Is because food trucks in Bombay and in most parts of the country cannot travel. Because if it's standing on one location, it stands on that location. It is registered to that location. If you're looking at, there are very, very good food trucks that are there in the market right now. And there's something called the Bombay food truck, which came in about 4 to 5 years back. And that went down. It's a very great concept, some crazy food, one of the best food trucks I could ever see in Bombay. They went down because of the traveling issues, because they picked up a good location. They were in BKC, which is the heart of offices in Bombay. And they still couldn't survive because they were at one single location. It's not like today I am at one point, today I'm in Kandivali, tomorrow I'm in Bandra, day after I'm in Dadar, fourth day I'm in Kolaba. It's not at all like that. So if I could do that, it would be the best things I could have ever done. So anything else upon food truck business?
Any other questions, guys? You can put it up.
Okay, small cafes are a good viable option. If you're looking to open one, I'll have to open one. Don't worry. Too. Small cafes are a good option. They're really something which work if you have the right concept and you have the right food. For a small cafe, what hits up is where you are located. If you're located near a college or you're located near a place where people hang out in the evenings or something like that, you get a good business. And with small cafes, what you can also do is you can start making them as co-working spaces. So if you're saying that if I don't have the revenue for the morning hours, I can say I can give that on rent, saying that you can start taking my tables, sit there, I will give you Wi-Fi, and you can work, and I'll give you food, lunch with 2 cups of coffee, and this is much I'll charge you every day. So you get a lot more revenue in terms of that, and you start running your restaurant well. So that's about small cafes. And Aryan, I will not give you food at all.
Okay, so I had a question. Like cloud kitchens are very trending nowadays.
Okay. Okay.
So what is the sale or purpose or viability of that?
Okay. So cloud kitchens are something that are opened by delivery kitchens mostly. So kitchens that do not require much of the space, do not require a lot of area, and do not want to run a restaurant. They want to deliver. So if your concept is of a delivery kitchen, then you think and open a cloud kitchen. Why do you want to open a cloud kitchen? Is just because you save on the rental space of a restaurant. If you're taking a restaurant and then you start delivering as well, you look at paying the rent of a restaurant. You have a kitchen, you slightly in a bigger kitchen because you're operating 2 deliveries, that is delivery and the restaurant dining. But a cloud kitchen is currently right now coming into the concept is because of the pandemic. People really want to save on rents, and to save on rents, there are companies like Zomato, and there are some of the investors. They've taken up spaces wherein there are 6-8 kitchens in one location, which is one centralized locations in a locality, and you have 8 different restaurants in that same area, but you don't know they're there. There are 8 small kitchens wherein, for example, one is that biryani by kilo, for example, one is Fasos, one is Cafe Mojo pizzas, or all these delivery based kitchens, box set. So all these 8 places are in one small area wherein 8 small kitchens are divided, and it becomes easier for the delivery guys to pick up food and help you all get the food at home faster. So that's something which is coming up with different companies right now. Zomato is one of them who has also offered investors to invest into cloud kitchens. So that's how cloud kitchens function, and they're the entire concept. But they're going to finish off real soon. Once probably the pandemic starts over, cloud kitchens won't be a completely profitable business as of now. It's a cost-friendly process right now, but probably in the next 5 years, it won't be a cost. More than cost-friendly, it's going to it's going to lose out on your possible revenue, which you can get when even 5 people come down and dine and you have the same amount of delivery. You're losing on that 5 people that are going to sit and dine, and probably that 5 could turn 10 tomorrow. That 10 could turn 0 also. That's again a risk that you need to take. But at least if you're having 50 deliveries a day and people want to come and dine at your restaurant, you don't have that. So cloud kitchen is something which can work and can stop working in the near future. But yeah, they're working as of now because people can't go out. What's my favorite cuisine?
What is your favorite?
Yeah, so my cuisine is European. I cook modern European all the time. I'm a person into grills, a person into pastas. Sometimes I enjoy cooking up pizzas. Sometimes I do the job of a pizza wala. The pizza wala is a person who makes pizzas. So most of the times when I'm in the kitchen, I just, if I feel like cooking, I just go stand on the pizza range and I'll make pizzas too. So yeah. And to eat, I can eat anything, everything. I can eat everything and anything.
So I think you pretty much wrapped up everything. Thank you so much for that. Is there any other thing anyone wants to ask about?
Yeah, please, y'all can feel free and ask anything.
Yeah, you can speak up. Like, switch on your mic, talk to us. You won't get such an opportunity. I am honestly telling you after working with Sunny. Please ask whatever you want to. Feel free. Truly, it was a very inspiring session. I think no more questions. So thank you so much, Anil sir, for coming and giving us the insight about hotel management and what is the unconventional side of it, busting some myths about it.
Thank you.
Since your day is such hectic, does it affect you as a person? That's the question asked.
Is it effective as a person? Yeah, so Manchika, it does affect me sometimes as a person. Obviously, because you have a lot of things that are going on in your mind at most of the time of the day. As a person, once you start working, you feel like, what the hell am I doing here? So initially, you feel like I'm missing out on Rakhi, I'm missing out on Diwali, I'm missing out on Christmas, I'm missing out partying with my friends on a Saturday night. But post, I think post the first 3 years that you're working in this industry, the first 3 years are very, very difficult for you to adapt to all of that. For me also, it was very difficult to adapt. It's Saturday night, it's Saturday dost ja rahe hain. But this happens, and now it's become a routine that they know I'm at work on a Saturday night, so they've stopped calling me also. And it does affect you as a person initially, but then once you're getting used to things, you start enjoying those Saturday nights at work. Probably the best 31st I've ever had is at the hotel, wherein the entire so on the 31st night, this ritual is done at the hotel for about the last 30-40 odd years, wherein all the chefs get together at the kitchen. There's a central kitchen in the hotel that's called the main kitchen, which does all the bulk cooking. So we all gather around at the main kitchen. All the kitchen tables that we used to cut, chop, everything across the kitchens come there, and there's a big table that is laid out. All the chefs stand on all the 4 corners, and the tandoor sariyas that you see. Have you seen a tandoor jis pe saliya lagate hain, bada wala? We all take that in our hands and we start banging them. And that's how we start our new year. That's how the countdown begins for the new year, and that's how we started. So initially, you feel sad कि हाँ यार मेरे दोस्तों का 31st नहीं मना रहे, but after a point you're so used to all this, and you're also used to these traditions that happen in the hotel, that you start finding that fun in them. So it does affect you as a person sometimes, but yeah, you get used to it. Oh, when I deal, okay. So how do you deal with it when someone from your team messes up with their work, especially when you have such high stakes? When I deal with them, I usually take the blame on myself. If something goes wrong, if they found something wrong in the dish, if it's less salt or something, it's in my kitchen. It's my food that is going out. So it's my mistake if it goes out wrong. So yeah, I take the blame for my team. But yeah, different people take it different way in different ways. Some people blame it on the cook. Some people take the blame on themselves. But I do take it on myself, and I usually go up and speak to the guest if something goes wrong with the dish, and I say that this is a problem. Sorry, I'll rectify and get it for you. Yeah, that's about.
There is one more question, which is it necessary to learn cooking different cuisines? Does it help at the ninth standard?
You're very young to start cooking so much. You can start cooking what mama makes. You can help your mother cook, and you can help make her try different dishes as well. But yeah, when you're doing your hotel management, when you're working in the industry for long, you will obviously start learning different cuisines. So yeah, with time and age, you will do everything that's possible, and you can start getting different cuisines to master. Because I have personally mastered Indian and European, and I'm slowly moving to Japanese to master Japanese. To not master, I'm just trying to learn Japanese. Will European style pastry shop work in India? European style pastry shops are working in India. If you look at Levon, the cafe, they're working 5 years ahead of India. There's 𝐿𝐴𝐵 in Delhi. 𝐿𝐴𝐵 is again a European pastry shop that has come into India. They are working in Delhi only as of now, and they have a French pastry executive chef as well. They are doing well, and this brand called La Tour, if I'm not wrong, that's how it's pronounced. They're opening their first shop in India in Delhi, and they're looking to open their first shop in Bombay by 2022. So when European brands are coming to India for selling their pastries to India, Daniel Patisserie is now in India. When all these guys are now in India, why won't an European style pastry shop work in India?
Okay, so I think before, do you have any future plans for opening your own restaurant?
Okay, so somebody sent me a direct message saying that if food comes back in your restaurant with the second and the hair, what do you guys do in that case? Mistakes do happen. And we usually follow very strict hygiene protocol. And if something like that happens, we look where it has come from first. If it's in the food, it's on the food. Depending on, there's a lot of thought process that goes into it. And once you start seeing these things happening day in, day out, you understand what happens. You go speak to the guest, you pacify them, try and make sure that they're okay. You offer them something which they want. You just, as of now, you have to just pacify them and not make them angry, because there are some who actually try and become very angry. They just show that they're very angry, but they're actually not. So you have to find that breaking point and start making them laugh at that point. And we just replace the dish, and we just check if it's on the hair. I just go and tell the guest, "Aapka baal hai." Yeah, I've had instances. During the lockdown. There were 3 tables, wherein there were 3. No, actually, there are 2 guests who found hair in the food on the same day, in the same meal period, and they were long hair. They're this long. Okay, like literally a women's hair. So one of the guests is okay. I said, "Sir, hamare kitchen mein," and so there was one lady chef in the hotel at that point, and she had gone home because we were in the lockdown. We were in the hotel at that point, so there was no lady chef in the hotel at all. So I was wondering, where did the hair come from? So I went to the guest and I told him, "Sir, sorry, we won't have a lady chef in the hotel." And so the lady on the table, uske baal pure khule the, and she's sitting full, the hair full open. So obviously there's a chance of it falling. And it was on the food, it was not inside the food. So I explained to him, like, "Sir, agar खाने kitchen se aaya hota, to खाने के अंदर मिलता, आपको बाहर नहीं मिलता. और ये garnish की तरह आपने बाल लगाया." So so that's something which is there. And he tried to argue a lot कि नहीं यार तुम्हारे कोई तो किचन में लड़की होगी. मैं चलो मेरे साथ देखते हैं कौन से किचन में लड़की है. So you get different kinds of people when you can see. Also, do you have any future plans to open your restaurant? Yes, I do. Yes, I do, but not now. Next 6 years probably. Invest करेगा जरूर.
हाँ sure. तब तक अगर if I have that position, of course आएंगे.
मैं करेगा. Thank you. Any other questions? Any other questions before we end up?
I think if there is no question, you can just give a tip of what is necessary or something, and then we can end it.
There's no tip. Just be yourself. That's it. You need to be yourself in the industry. If you try to be somebody else, if you try to fake around somebody, I think it's going to take a long turn for yourself. In fact, it's applicable everywhere. Just be yourself and do what you're doing. Yeah. Any questions? Okay.
Are there any other questions, participants? Which, like, if you guys want to ask anything, you can. You don't have to feel too formal over here. So let us know if you have any other questions. Abhi nahi, baad mein agar question aate hain dimag mein koi, then you can put it on the WhatsApp group. We'll try and get them answered.
Yep.
And
you can also, if you want, you can connect with me on my Instagram. So yeah.
We'll share the Instagram ID on the WhatsApp group. It's also on our page.
Yeah, it's on your page. So,
Guys, please go and follow our Instagram, Facebook handles.
Yeah, and Sanil's Instagram handle. Okay, then it's a wrap. Thank you so much, Sanil, for such an insightful session. And me being a a professional, I'm pursuing a professional course, and yet I'm inclined towards hotel management because your session was so inspiring. And thank you so much. And see Dhruv also.
yeah, plus I've
You're
been interested in
glowing
cooking.
inside.
I've been interested in cooking since years.
Yeah, I also took home science in school as third
यार
group.
मैंने नहीं लिया था होम साइंस. बाकी सबने लिया था. मैंने नहीं लिया था होम साइंस.
So you explored after your 12th.
No, I always wanted to be a chef since I was a kid.
That's so nice.
So
Thank you,
it's probably
everyone.
my childhood dreams.
Oh. Okay.
Thank you all the participants. So you can start leaving now.